Hello out there, Australia. Welcome back to TV1 and MS Entertainment. And now we're going to talk about the trending topics in the community. Maryrose?
Hi, so to introduce, oh my God, this is very exciting because the topic is not just about the politics. It could be COVID, it could be the Desera's issues in the Philippines where injustice is not there. It could be the election of the USA. So very exciting.
So anything trending, it's open.
Absolutely.
Any conversation, great.
Yes, this guy, we can fire up so many questions and I think we're going to roast him this time. So
can you introduce our guest?
I would like to introduce Brian Frugtniet, he's an entrepreneur. He is, I would say again, jack of all trades. So Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about yourself, Brian.
About myself, well, I've been in business for about 43 years. From very small business to the biggest sensitive business dealing with governments.
Oh.
And nowadays I sit on a property portfolio and just relax, take it easy as much as I can.
All right, well, you know what?
Yes.
He seems to be all fired up and ready to go.
Yes. Well, I have a question for you, Brian. So,
Yes.
what do you think in respect to the vaccine? Does the people has the rights to say no? I know there's a lot of protests, what's happening in Europe at the moment, that they don't want to be vaccinated because you don't know really what is behind the agenda with this. What is your message to the community or around the world?
Well, I suppose, the COVID-19 has been unleashed already, and people don't have much choice but to get some sort of vaccine, but perhaps not the vaccine that was originally intended, because we all know this is not a natural virus that's out there. So this is all part of a big reset as far as I'm concerned. And there's a lot involved. It's too sophisticated to just explain in a few words what's behind the whole thing. But with regards to the vaccine, because they're trying to make this thing mandatory with governments all over, where children can't go to school if they don't have a vaccine, you won't get your social security if you don't have this vaccine, various things. So it's a problem.
When you say reset, what does that mean to, they're going to eliminate billions of people?
Or the reset really begins about 30, 40 years ago, and this is basically discussed amongst the elite and the bankers in Davos, in Switzerland, every year. And basically there are some big high-profile billionaires involved who believe that the planet is overcrowded anyway, and they hope to basically eliminate at least 4 billion people off this planet at the moment.
So this theory that you're saying,
Yes,
is based on what?
well, it's actually captured on videotape of some big people who were originally involved in the computer industry, and they got the knowledge as well from all these viruses that attack computers, and they thought, well, there's bigger money where you can affect the entire globe as well and make sure the virus gets out to everybody, and then you can produce the vaccine for that perhaps, right?
So,
and you can make trillions of dollars.
It's a good, yeah, it's like a setting for a movie, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's happening in the real life.
and like now it's happening in real life.
Yeah.
In hindsight,
Yes.
I'm in regards to the vaccine, my view there is that irregardless of where the virus came from, which Brian was mentioning and talking about earlier, I would like to ask Brian, what's your view on taking the vaccine?
Well, it all depends. There are many pharmaceutical companies who are mass producing this at the moment. Usually vaccines take at least 4 to 5 years before it's passed over to humans to use. This time it's out within a year. So the number of people it's been tested on is a concern, and that's step one.
Yeah.
and there's a little more to it.
So what do you believe that the scientific community has had put in their share in developing this vaccine? I know you mentioned it's a record time, 9 months from what I reviewed, because I like keeping myself updated.
Yes.
So I read journals and studies and whatnot.
Yes.
And in hindsight, a lot of people may say that those studies are flawed. But in regards of that 9 months, what do you think? What is your opinion in regards to that quick that they developed that vaccine?
Well, I have no doubt there was a lot of money put in by the
Private,
last US regime, Donald Trump, and them made the big companies like Pfizer, and there were a couple of other big ones, and they put in billions of dollars into it, and they worked 24 hours around the clock, and that's why this thing came to this stage so quick.
So Brian, well, you're also intense with the election Donald Trump and Biden.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there again, we all know. I mean, it's logical to, I think, everybody on the planet, I think, unless, there's something wrong mentally with you, that the popular person who you could have seen from the crowds and the people who are going to vote for somebody, that person should have won by a landslide. But at the end of the day, nowadays, we are all controlled by technology. And we all know that if something's connected to any internet somewhere, it's very easily manipulated.
Well, in hindsight, I think social media has a lot to do with it, and the media.
Yes.
But being controlled by it, like you mentioned, there are a lot of programs in our cell phones that could possibly gather those information and could possibly sell it to whoever. But in hindsight, people are still able to choose and pick who they want to win. And in that election, do you think that election actually had a good result?
The election definitely had the opposite of a good result. As far as I'm concerned, if the courts had heard, if the US courts had heard part of the evidence that was coming up, things would be different today. From what I understand right now the courts are hearing a little bit too late about the ballots that were cast, about the computers, if the computers had any flaws or were rigged here and there. Only now they are conducting forensic examinations, and still up to the minute they are protesting and arguing. The elections ended on the 3rd of November. This is what, February. And they are still, exactly. In my opinion, I always think if I have nothing to hide, I have nothing to hide. And you and your people say that my computers or something is wrong, I'll be joining you and saying, come on, folks, let's get this thing examined. That's what an honest person would do.
But I think the Dominion, the head or CEO of the Dominion has given that, has talked to the government, and they said they can do the investigation themselves. By the way, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Oh, lovely.
And I have participated in that election.
Right.
So I'm very much passionate about that election myself.
Right. Well, there was another man who was supposed to come today, Richard Hoskins. He got 2 or 3 ballots that were sent to him with different barcodes.
I have given one ballot itself, and I sent it back.
Yeah, but he got 2, and he showed them to me, and I took pictures.
But the thing is that also, if that ballot, there's also a way to, even if 2 ballots were sent to him, there's also a way to find that out, and for that other vote not to be counted.
Well, I suppose so. We all hope.
That is the case.
But this was too controversial, the way this was. And like I just said, what's the purpose of any government or any person protesting if there is this situation where people who are working in the place, and there are whistleblowers coming out and saying what they saw and what happened? As I just told you, if I have been elected into something, I'll be joining Donald Trump and the rest and said, come on, let's get this thing forensically checked out.
Correct. So in hindsight, even if we would like to get that forensically checked out, we know that Biden had been sworn in. Yes. So in hindsight, what do you think Biden would be a great president or good president?
No, in my opinion, the country, they're not big money managers and things like that. They are good at giving handouts for nothing.
Okay.
Okay? Donald Trump is a businessman. He knows, and running a country like the USA, you need brains like that, someone to run a big corporation.
So in continuing with that, what do you think the challenges that lies ahead for 2021 in the US?
Well, hopefully things will come out. There'll be something that will come out of the court system.
Yep.
My general feeling is before the primaries, which is within 2 years, I feel the government may collapse before that, because when all this comes out prior to that, a few people might be arrested and there'll be problems happening there.
So Brian, if you were the advisor of Donald Trump and before he left the White House, do you think that he should have done the martial law to show to his loyal people that I can actually have my way to
Yes.
prove that he was the right person to win?
Personally, I think he should have done something more. He should have, with all this controversy, but somehow they're
Why
not.
do you think he didn't proceed with the martial law? I mean, he's a tough guy.
Well, no. Just take a look at his record. Did he start a single war during his time? He did the opposite. But you take a look at every other president right down the track. All they do is they fuel this situation. There's a war in Vietnam, Cambodia, Afghanistan, you name it. There's a war somewhere. He did the opposite, because that's why he's been nominated. See the peace in the Middle East right now.
I believe the ISIS. Do you think he was the guy that actually stopped the ISIS?
Of course he did. ISIS was going mad. Even here in Australia and anywhere in Europe and so on, you couldn't walk on a street. A car might jump on the pavement and run over you. They would put bombs anywhere and things. What happened to all that? He died after Trump came into power. He got rid of.
People can't see the wood from the tree.
Well, all over the world, unfortunately, when it comes to politics, especially the ones who are career politicians, who are involved there for 30, 40, 50 years, you've got to watch them. They go into politics with nothing, but you take a look at their bank accounts and what they own, they're all multimillionaires now.
It's
And there's a big swamp, right? To get to them, there are middlemen and middlemen and middlemen. So you work it out.
so you don't believe that there are politicians who made it in a career that remain honest?
Not many.
But no, my question
Yeah.
is, do you believe there is?
Do I? There
It's a yes or a no.
It's very tough. That's a tough question.
Well-
To me, I think they lie so much.
Okay.
They lie to come into power, and then the ball game changes after that.
That's a great point.
Give
But
us an example.
no, but in hindsight, I know of people who are actually related to me,
Yes.
who run in the Philippines.
Yes.
They started with nothing. They
Yes.
ended up with nothing because
Wow.
everyone out there,
Yes.
So not many.
every single team, they give 10,000 to people, even their salary.
Yes.
They sold their house.
Yes.
And until now, he's alone. He's my uncle.
Right.
He's now alone in the Philippines
So that's
by
a
themselves.
small. he
So
belongs
that's
to
why
the
I'm
tiny-
asking you, do you think it's possible?
Of
Because-
course, it's possible. It is possible.
Alright.
There are few, but it's very small.
Yes,
These
and
people
you know,
are in the minority.
trust me, I've seen a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
thing in my day, in my 40 years
Yeah.
here. I've seen, and I like the banter, and I like the debate, and I
Yes.
like the exchange of, because I believe that everyone is entitled to their opinion, which is great.
Yes.
Yes.
So moving on to, I know that you're very passionate about the Christine Becerra.
Yeah.
Do you remember about that flight attendant that was
Yes.
killed during the New Year?
Yes.
So this Brian,
Yes.
tell us your thought. Do you think there's a contradictory about that she had bruises everywhere and
Yes.
apparently she wasn't raped,
Okay.
she wasn't dragged or whatsoever? Tell us about her.
Okay, even with her, right, there's only very limited
Information.
TVR for me, because in English, because the rest is all in the Filipino language. And from the very first day this incident happened, I had a lot of doubts. Firstly, I see this young lady who's a flight attendant who lives in a hotel in Manila because she's from another city. She's got about 3 or 4 friends who are supposed to be gay or something. And they decide to have a New Year's party there. Somehow the room next to them about another, I don't know, all up they said about 11 people now, all up. They say they are LGBT people and they are in that room. And then starts this party, and the little bit of CCTV I have seen shows that they are moving up and down with a lot of excitement between these two rooms. I see this girl sometimes after midnight, she's semi-conscious like, or whatever, being taken from room to room, right? Okay. This CCTV ends at about 7:30 in the morning. Now, according to what I heard, the records say that the time of death is about 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, it's first reported to the hotel staff at about 11:30 in the morning. What were people doing between 8 and 11?
3 hours.
Right?
There was an interview that you should watch with Boya Bunda.
Yeah.
And it's an interview of the accused
Yeah.
and the parents of Dasera.
Yes.
So the room 2209
Yes.
is people, not LGBT people. There are straight people.
Oh, okay.
LGBT people is 2207.
Right.
Which is in that room.
So they were the one that
So-
actually got the room.
That's
That-
different.
yeah.
That's two different
Is
rooms.
that the friends or no?
They are acquaintance. She has one friend. So it's actually very interesting. You have to watch that interview because I think that would tie up everything that we know about.
Okay.
Because it's hard to make an opinion on something that you only have a piece of the story.
To me, the
What's the question actually? Who were the person that?
Yeah, and that actually intensive interview actually will give a little bit of more of the situation.
okay. But to me, the discrepancy is that timeline between 8 and 11.
Yeah.
I would, by now, they should have removed everyone, all 11 people's telephone records by now.
Well, they actually have done something between that time and
Everyone's telephone records.
That's actually in that interview. So the situation between 8 to 11 is quite unfaced for the public,
Yeah.
especially for Brian, because I
Yeah.
don't think he has seen that
No.
YouTube interview. And I think having that information will tie everything
Time,
up for
okay.
us. Yeah.
Number one. Number two, why is a person in a critical condition or unconscious taken to a medical center instead of a hospital?
Because, well, you know how it is in the Philippines. So they will try to bring you first to the first aid before they bring you to the hospital. Because actually,
But she's already dead.
yeah, I reckon you should actually watch the interview of everything.
Yeah.
And actually, that will give us a wrap up of what actually happened.
Okay. And then my next question will simply be medical center, and she is pronounced dead on arrival.
In the hospital, not
No,
in the medical center.
Not in the medical.
Now, the medical center, she was put in a wheelchair. That's why it's quite hard to talk about this because we don't know
So
the
she
full
was still
detail.
alive.
She was partial. She has something. She was drowsy or something like that because they said she had an aneurysm.
Yes.
So, if the medical legal, because what happened, this is a very controversial topic, so it's quite hard to only see it
okay.
in one.
All
one
right.
page.
So then, please, if she was in a hospital,
Yeah.
how come she was embalmed before in a funeral director's home in Makati at 4 in the morning? And who gave that authority?
And that's another part where that interview can answer. Because see, this topic is very, very big in itself, and I don't think if we cut it into shred it into situations,
Yes.
we all would understand. Because like you mentioned,
Yes.
I have questions as well, and you have questions, and for sure, Mary's advocacy is empowering women and against violence against women and human rights. So it's important for us to
Then
know
further down,
well,
then
to know other information,
yes.
because at the end of the day we can decipher what the truth is, because each is to own. They have different sides of the story.
But
right.
the thing is, where did she get these bruises? I mean,
There's
if she
a lot of
wasn't raped-
speculation.
Yeah, if she wasn't
now
raped, then
this
why
is
she
where
has
the
bruises?
problem now lies. Why, and that's why I said the telephone records will show people communicating with lawyers. Someone advised somebody, as far as I'm concerned, because a whole group of people didn't turn up 1 month later, they're showing themselves.
It's 2209. That's
Yeah.
2209.
So there's no time to test their blood for drugs
or alcohol.
or alcohol. So they were given someone gave good advice there. Run away, don't be found. Now they show up now. Nothing can be.
It's such a very controversial topic, Brian, and
Yeah.
trust me, all your points are valid, and I want to understand it as well,
No,
because
but
you bring
then-
up good.
No, then I found a little contradiction. I only saw one or two
Yeah.
things in English, and then I saw a person interviewing. I forget the guy's name. You see him with his mother all the time, you know, in the interviews.
Oh, the one of the friend.
Guzman or somebody, and then something about this question about bruises comes up, and surely somebody saw something or somebody heard something, because there's bruises on the legs, there's bruises on the arms, there's cuts on the legs, there's a bruise on the back. How the hell did all this thing happen without anybody seeing or knowing? And that's where, as far as I'm concerned, you can't close this case until that is answered.
Well, there's a separate, when they say case closed, it doesn't necessarily mean that they found it's closed. It's still open in the courts. Someone just said that we found that she's had an aneurysm. For the military, it's closed, or for the PNP, Philippine National Police, it's closed in their side, but it's not done yet. So that's one area that Boy Abunda was clarifying, because the lawyer said, the Seras lawyer said, yes, they might have found this, but we have a more question, and the court did not close the case yet.
Okay, now there's two more points I want to bring there. One, this girl works for an airline. She is regularly checked, like pilots and all that, for medically she's checked. She has no hypertension, nothing on her papers. Now suddenly she has hypertension on this particular night. She has an enlarged heart, they say, and etc. That's another doubt. What's going on? If you look at all her medical records, she doesn't have high blood pressure, nothing like that.
I don't know.
So there's a problem there. They will trying to link that to this aneurysm and the blood.
And the bruises.
Right, that. And finally, I would suggest that if the family is not satisfied with any outcome, they should take a private prosecution against the parties. Because, you know, you can't, because to get an answer to how did she end up with all those bruises.
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, that is, I think, what's happening with the Seras case. So before we got here, I actually wanted to read up on that, but I didn't know that we were going to talk about that. So I cannot really answer any of that question. But certainly you have brought a lot of great talking points and topics that they need to answer in that. But to collectively actually put that story together. So in hindsight, let's keep it lighter this time.
Yes.
Can we go, we just want to have fun with you, Brian.
Yes.
Because I know you're a very intense guy, you're very opinionated, and you're very passionate with what you know and what you
If I
you
see
say.
injustice anywhere.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, you know, in hindsight, we are all passionate with things, and we have all our own opinion. Just to let our audience know, all opinions are not with the television show or MSTV. It's owned by each of us who mention our opinion, and we say it from our hearts, from our mind, and from our soul.
Freedom of speech.
Yes. And I just wanted to ensure that our audience know that the opinion of the guest and the host does not reflect the opinion of MSTV or TV1 Australia. All right, let's do a lightning round, my friend.
Yes.
So what we're gonna do is ask you a question, you answer it straight away.
Like
Off the cuff, is it?
Yeah, we look at that camera. So my first question, if you were a Microsoft product, which one would you be and why?
I'll be a mouse.
A mouse, you'll be a mouse. Why?
Oh, because
It
you got
controls
to-
everything.
I thought you were going to be the virus.
No,
Up
I'll be
next.
the-
All right. So I'm going to ask you this question, right? What is the one thing you've changed about yourself, if you could?
if I could, I would try to relax more and that's
Don't
what
care
I
about
would-
what's happening around the
Yes,
world.
yeah, because it's too big now, the situation at the moment.
What is the scariest movie that you've watched?
Scariest movie that I watched.
The Election of America. That's not even a movie.
I think the scariest movie must have been Psycho.
Oh, Psycho.
Alright.
Yeah, good movie.
So,
Yeah.
name something associated with the police.
With the police?
Yes.
Oh, something good or bad?
I like that answer.
Because it works both ways there.
Right.
Alright.
In the scale of 1 to 10, how sexy are you?
How what?
Sexy.
Yeah.
How sexy?
Would you rate yourself?
That's again another tough one. We have to ask.
You're gonna tell me 1 to 10, right?
How could I rate myself?
You
Someone
could.
else has got to rate me.
No one else will rate you. So 1 to 10, how sexy are you?
He's gonna say 5.5.
Safe answer. Safe answer.
Okay, Brian. What was your most embarrassing moment?
Wow. Embarrassing. No.
You never had
I
embarrassing.
can't think of one at the moment.
If you can describe yourself in 3 words, what are those 3 words?
In 3 words.
Yeah.
Not letters.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun?
Say yeah.
And another one?
Yes. If you look at. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
Passionate?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a passionate person.
And then what else?
And justice. I fight for justice.
There you go.
Always.
So if you look at yourself in a magic mirror, what would
Yeah.
you see, Brian?
In a magic mirror?
Yes.
I don't know what. I've never been or seen a magic mirror.
If you would see.
If I see,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're in front of a magic mirror, what would...
you see?
what can I see?
An apple.
I hope I can see that election being overturned in the USA. That's what I would wish for.
If you are given a full page in a magazine, how would your ad read?
Oh, a full page in a magazine.
An ad, yeah. And how would your... Like, for example, beautiful inside out, like that. For me, slightly used. For me, the ads would be slightly used. What would yours be?
Oh, I don't know. I think I need y'all's
He's not a
help
very
on that.
intense- He's a very intense guy.
I need y'all's help on those things.
Oh, God. So last question, Brian. Name something that flies that doesn't have an engine.
Flies and doesn't have an engine.
Yes.
A glider.
Glider.
Glider, beautiful. See?
Well, see, he's fast with that one.
You know, it's such an interesting, it's been an interesting interview with Sir Brian and Miss Maryrose Salubre. I love how passionate we get when we believe in something and we want to say our opinion about it. And it's a great thing. Yes. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Brian, and hope to see you again very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Current Affairs. This is what's happening in the community. And this is what we are talking about here at TV1 and MS Entertainment. Again, this is Jojo Sebastian.
And Maryrose Salubre.
And we have-
Thank you so much, Brian.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And see you guys.
See you guys.